Hello students, let us learn how to balance simple skeletal equations of this form. Carbon monoxide plus oxygen giving carbon dioxide. So CO is carbon monoxide and O2 is oxygen. These are the reactants and our product is carbon dioxide CO2. Now to start with balancing, we first need to write the number of atoms of each kind on the left hand side and on the right hand side. On the left hand side, as we can clearly see, we have carbon and oxygen atom, and even on the right hand side we have carbon and oxygen atoms. The only difference is in that in this particular equation we have oxygen coming at two different places on the left hand side. In such an equation we should always write each and every atom separately so that our equation becomes very easy for us to solve. So first we write the number of carbon atoms on the left hand side, which is 1. So we write C, we write only the symbol C, which is 1. Oxygen atom in the first molecule, so we write O first for the first molecule. Number of oxygen atoms is 1 in the first molecule. Then we write O again for the second molecule, and the number of atoms of oxygen in the second molecule is 2. So we write O is equal to 2. Now on the right hand side we again write C, number of carbon atoms on the right hand side is 1. Number of oxygen atoms on the right hand side is O is 2. So we write O is equal to 2. Now if we look at the left hand side and the right hand side, we come to know that carbon atoms are already equal on both the sides. What needs to be changed is the number of oxygen atoms. It is 3, 1 plus 2. So we actually add whenever we are trying to solve the equation. In total we see the total of the oxygen atoms. So total oxygen atoms is 3 on the left hand side. It is 1 plus 2, that is 3. But on the right hand side we have only 2 oxygen atoms. So it is very clear that the equation is not balanced and we need to balance it. So to do so we write second step, wherein we again write the same equation as it is. We put a line or a dash as a prefix to each and every molecule so that we know that we can only put a number in the prefix. Now in the next step as well, we repeat the same step, number of atoms of each element on the left hand side and on the right hand side. So we have, now from this we need to first decide which side to start from. We always start from the side which has the least number of molecules. Since the number of molecules on the product side is only 1 and on the reactant side we have 2 molecules. So we start by balancing from the right hand side. Now to decide which number to start from, we know that we have to balance oxygen atoms. Carbon is already balanced on both the sides. Now to do so, it is not possible to make the number 2 into 3. Okay, we cannot convert the number 2 to 3 straight away, because since the prefix is always multiplied to the subscript. And here if we do not put any number here, it means it is 1. So there are only 2 oxygen atoms. So that means we need to start with the smallest, and we need to start with the smallest possible number so as to make sure that our equation first gets balanced. This particular method is also known as hit and try method. Sometimes we have to keep on trying by putting different prefixes and then we come to the final result. So let's try by putting number 2 as a prefix. So if you put a 2 in the prefix of CO2, the number of carbon atoms now changes. So there was only 1 carbon atom, now it becomes 1 into 2, that is 2. So number of carbon atoms now becomes 2. Number of oxygen atoms also changes, 2 into 2. So this prefix 2 multiplied with the subscript 2. 2 into 2 becomes a 4. So this becomes a 4 on the right hand side. Now if you look at the equation, again our equation is just not balanced. Now, and moreover, now we see that there's a change in the oxygen atoms and there is a change in the carbon atom as well. Now amongst carbon and oxygen atoms, we need to make this carbon atom 2 and these oxygen atoms in total must total up to 4. Now which out of the 2 needs to be balanced first is going to be our next question. In order to do so, as we have discussed earlier, we always need to make sure that we first balance the atom which has to be balanced to the least possible number. So out of 2 and 4, we know that 2 is the smallest number. That means carbon atom needs to be made 2 and oxygen atoms have to be made 4. So since 2 is a smaller number, so we are going to first balance carbon on both the sides. To do so, the only way we can make carbon 2 is by putting a 2 in front of carbon monoxide, since carbon is occurring only in this molecule. So we put a 2 as a prefix to carbon monoxide CO. So therefore number of carbon atoms changes now, 1 into 2 It becomes a 2. Now only carbon atom is not changing, even oxygen atoms are changing. Now this is a very important step, because you need to be very clear that this 2 is in the prefix of carbon monoxide and not in the prefix of O2. So you will not make any changes to the second oxygen atom. You will make changes only to the first oxygen atom. That means this 2 will be multiplied with the subscript 1 of this particular molecule. That means carbon monoxide. So 1 into 2 makes it 2. So there are 2 oxygen atoms here. So now if we look at this equation, we have 2 carbon atoms on both the sides, and we need to now total up to find that whether the oxygen atoms are equal on both the sides or not. We need to see the total of the oxygen atoms on the left hand side and total of oxygen atoms on the right hand side. On the right hand side, we already know we have total 4 oxygen atoms. On the left hand side, now we see there are 2 oxygen atoms present in the first molecule, so 2 oxygen atoms, and 2 oxygen atoms here as well, 2 plus 2. These 2 always get multiplied. This point should be very clear, children, that we never ever multiply the number which is given in the prefix of some other molecule to the number given in the prefix or in the subscript of any other molecule. These atoms are always added. They are never multiplied. So this step should be very clear. So therefore 2 oxygen atoms in carbon monoxide molecule and 2 oxygen atoms in O2 molecule, these will always be added. So therefore this 2 and this 2 totals up to, so 2 plus 2 totals up to 4. So therefore we have 4 oxygen atoms on the left hand side and 4 oxygen atoms on the right hand side. So therefore twice 2 carbon monoxide plus O2 giving 2 CO2 is a balanced equation. This is how we balance any equation of the similar kind. Any equation wherein any particular atom is repeated and is there in each and every molecule on the left hand side as well as the right hand side.